So Lexie Brown is the probable starter for the Seattle Storm this year, if healthy. She was a player who played for the Sparks, and she was somebody who, prior to Caitlin Clark coming into the WNBA, was very, I'm not going to say anti-Caitlin, but like, did not believe the hype. Like, I'm not going to say she said any, like, well, she did probably say things that were wrong at the time, but she definitely did not believe the hype. And the one thing that why I like Lexie Brown is it took one game for Lexie Brown to realize, like, oh damn, she is the scouting report. No, Caitlin Clark is legit. like it's fine. And that's one of the things where it's like, why I don't have anything against Diana Taurasi, where it's like, you can be wrong about a player, but then, like, if you're proven to be wrong, don't stay wrong. Like, all the people that the people in the WNBA media that don't understand basketball, that were very wrong about in 2023 Chelsea Gray, or 2023, different story, that post-injury Chelsea Gray still being the best point guard in the WNBA, that now it's at the stage where it's not, out of disrespect to Caitlin Clark, they are ignoring Sabrina Ionescu, Natasha Cloud, and Skylar Diggins-Smith, who are all better. Like, if you want to argue that Sabrina is better than Caitlin, I don't think you're right, but there's an argument there. If you want to argue Tash Cloud is better, defense matters, so I don't think there's much of an argument. There's some argument. Same with Skylar Diggins. Like, there's maybe not Diggins, but like, the fact is all of them are way better than Chelsea Gray, but these people are being continuously wrong just so they can scream point guard. And now you've got at least Lexie Brown talking about it. And she actually spoke about the players not wanting to go to Indiana. And let's listen to what she said. This is on a podcast right here. Again, I'm not sure who she's on the podcast with. Let's take a listen.
But you got to think, if you have the opportunity, like, even if Indiana needed a center, they're not overlooking Caitlin Clark. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, you got to, if it depends on if it's a generational type of talent, or if it's like, if you can sacrifice that for something that can help you right now, I think it makes sense to sacrifice that. It just depends on the needs of the team.
Exactly.
But there are some players who surpass needs of the team.
No.
Please tell me they're not discussing taking Camila Cardoso or Cameron Brink over Caitlin Clark. I stand by this. If it wasn't for the money reasons, Lin Dunn would have done it. Stand by that. Lin Dunn would have taken Camila Cardoso and played Aaliyah Boston, who's clearly not a power forward at power forward.
Yeah, and she was one of them. And I think that they made the right call on that because they knew her play would attract better players to Indiana. Like, it's been hard for them to get players to sign to Indiana because
they've been a poverty franchise. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's no way they made that call for, this is how we can improve our franchise. No, they made Caitlin Clark call because of money, because Lin Dunn was incompetent as a GM. I'm not joking. These were the decisions Lin Dunn made as GM of the Indiana Fever. Cutting Alana Smith, drafting Emily Engstler, Lexie Hull and Alyssa Smith. Lexie Hull is the only one decent pick. Shakira Austin was also way better than Alyssa Smith. Then cutting Emily Engstler after her rookie year after being the fourth pick. Cutting Kaiser Gond. Did she cut Kaiser Gondrzik after her rookie year, who was the fourth pick the previous year? Cutting Alana Smith, who's an all-star level player. And then the next offseason, she, if I'm not mistaken, she drafted Aaliyah Boston, who is the only player you could draft number one overall pick. And in free agency, she gave Erica Wheeler a max and signed Christy Wallace and convinced Christy Sides, who did not want to coach the team, to coach. And then in 2024, she knew she was getting Caitlin Clark, who is an athletic player who likes to play with pace. So what did she do? She gave a near max contract to a post-pregnancy Katie Lou Samuelson, and she signed one of the slowest players who was currently injured in Damir Stantis. Signed Damir Stantis and Katie Lou Samuelson, and got rid of Victoria Vivians, who actually would have been a decent enough player, and cut her so they kept paying her contract. Vivians would have been fine, and then cut Celeste Taylor, who's the fastest player not named Caitlin Clark on the team. Like, that's all Lin Dunn did. Like, Lin Dunn was incompetent as a GM. Like, Lin Dunn did not make any right decisions other than draft Clark and Aaliyah Boston. And she would have lost, like, Aaliyah Boston was in a draft where it was Aaliyah Boston and the rest. And Caitlin Clark, and there would have been riots in the streets of Indiana if they didn't take Caitlin Clark. Other than that, other than the decisions where she would have lost her job if she didn't make a single right decision.
They're in Indiana. And because
Yeah.
those games typically were very empty, there was no energy behind the Fever since they won their championships when Tamika Catchings was there. So Caitlin has basically come in and rejuvenated the entire franchise. And now it's an attractive place for free agents to come. And I think that long term, they were thinking about that. I don't know what other people were thinking of, no one was going to go there with her and they're not going to want to play with someone like that. But like, why would you not want to play with somebody like that? Like,
that don't make no
Let's not be
sense.
dumb here. Like, we're all basketball
those
players
are
at the end of the day. I want to win.
Those are people in the WNBA saying that. Those are Twitter fingers people saying that.
Twitter fingers.
Who didn't make the JV basketball team. They don't know.
They couldn't even be the manager for the JV basketball team.
Hey, I'm not, actually, no. I was saying people should go, people should go to the Fever. My logic was always the players should go to the Fever. I'm like, all you have is either hit open shots or run, and Caitlin Clark will get you 10 points a game. You have to do one of those two things. And if you do both, Caitlin Clark will get you 15 points a game. You don't even have to be good. You don't even have to have the skill. You don't even have to be able to dribble the ball. If you cut, run, and can hit a wide open jump shot, you can average 15 points per game with Caitlin Clark. You don't even have to know how to dribble. You can look like Jaylen Brown dribbling with his left hand off both hands, and you're fine. You are fine. And I do have the Twitter fingers, but at least I have some experience playing low-level pro ball and coaching the same level. I have some experience of pro ball. Being around pros my entire adult life, had a pro living with me for a few months. Like, I've been around pro basketball players my entire life, and there's so many different aspects of basketball, so many different ways of playing basketball, and so many players that are good based on like different philosophy. Like, it's so hard for me to like rank basketball players, because it's like, if you gave Caitlin Clark to Gina Wariema and he wanted to play her as a spot up small forward and not let her play the one, she would have sucked. Caitlin Clark is not a very good spot up small forward because she's a 3 and OD player. She turns into Katie Lou Samuelson if you play her as a spot up. And I don't mean an off the ball player, cutter, run a couple of plays, but if you exclusively play her to stand in that corner, she's bad enough on defense, she turns into Katie Lou Samuelson. But obviously with Caitlin Clark there, the Fever become the most attractive place to play outside of maybe the Mercury. Just because of the Mercury's facilities, just because of how much Matt Ishby is willing to put into the Mercury, just because of all that stuff. The Mercury might be a bit more attractive position. Maybe the Liberty as well. They are the 3 most attractive, including the Aces right now, by the way. The Aces, I don't know what's going on with the Aces, but I would not put the Aces in that conversation. The Aces and the Storm, again, are in that 4 or 5. As great as the Lynx are as a team, I don't think the Lynx are the most attractive place. But yeah, it is. It's good to see someone like Lexie Brown talking about it. Like, it's good to see Lexie Brown actually go and be the one player defending it, because there's no narratives here. There's no like, oh, I need to push this. What about these other players? She's straight up saying it, being like, well, Indiana now have a huge fan base behind them. They can fill out the place. Everyone, why wouldn't every single player want to play with Caitlin Clark? Which is a fact. The only players I could see not wanting to play with Caitlin Clark right now is probably Aja Wilson, because Aja Wilson would rather burn down the league and be on top of the ashes than have the league grow into a skyscraper and not have the penthouse suite, but be on the second top suite. Have the second best room in the entire hotel. She would rather burn the whole thing to the ground as long as she is on top of the rubble. But yeah, anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.